seen this before. It's awesome.
Hang on.
It's the whistle is loud though, so just to tell you.
Okay.
A lot of fun to watch.
One of these round logs right quick. It's an aromatic cedar. I'm gonna cut some shingles. First thing I have to do is I have to get a flat bottom and 2 flat sides. Then I'm gonna pull a pin on this saw over here, and that cam's gonna wiggle back and forth and taper off shingles for me. Now realize out of this log here, I might get 4 to 6 shingles out of it. So to roof a house, give me about 2 years and I'll have no shingles. It's a slow process, but it's kind of neat to watch. All right, are you ready, Epsy?
I am. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Now, folks, if you can hear me, please put your fingers in your ears, and somebody needs to put their fingers over that baby's ears, please. This whistle's really, really loud. Trust me, folks. It's really loud.
Plug your ears.
Okay, Epsy, go for it.
Yeah.
It's loud, isn't it?
It's over to you. So walk up there.
Let's see the saw. Yours.
James, you don't have to cover your ears anymore.
The wood fall at the bottom, James? Very authentic. Sawdust flying everywhere. They're not paper.
I'm going to pull a pin on that, and what that's going to do is it's going to take my cam and it's going to rock it back and forth and won't let the taper on the wood.
Smell it up here.
Yeah, I bet you can.
Wonderful.
All right. Anybody wants to look at them, there they are. You got to cut a little bit of notch off the side of them. Folks, this is a 1915 50-horse steam tractor made by Case. Built on December the 16th, 1914. Okay, kids. Their end year was the 31st of August, so that's why this is considered 1950. Purchased brand new, $2,450.
That's a lot of money then.
That's a lot of money. Acres around here at that point in time were $8 an acre, somewhere in that vicinity. So that's either a 300-acre farm or a tractor. That's what it boils down to. But in retrospect, nowadays, a 300-acre farm is going to cost about $250,000. A brand new state-of-the-art tractor is going to cost about $250,000. So really, it's just retrospect at the time. But as we know a tractor, this really isn't what we consider a modern-day tractor today. This is a portable power plant. It does have forward and reverse gears on it. If you had a full head of steam, you can hold on tight enough that almost go 5 miles an hour. So it wasn't very fast. But at 17,880 pounds without any water in it, you wouldn't want to be in a field if there was a storm coming up and be stuck. What they did, they pulled from one person's farm to another farm. They milled trees, they thrashed their wheat, cut their firewood, whatever they needed to do. One tractor serviced many farms. The folks who originally purchased it, they had a contract with the Frisco Railroad, railroad ties.
James.
Up in Kansas. That's basically what Mark over here is doing with the broadax. He's doing the same thing as in houses. But it's the same difference, what he does with that. What it takes him 2 days to do, with a buzzsaw you can do on here in about 10 minutes. So this is really godsend. We ended up finding it in 1966. Silver Dollar City was just 6 years old at the time. This whole park, if you aren't aware of this, was built around that big hole in the ground they call Marble Cave. All this stuff you see around here was giving folks something to do while they waited to go on a tour of the cave. In 1966, we had the railroad down here, we had the stagecoach, and we had the cave. That's the only things we had. It didn't cost you anything at all to come onto the park. If you wanted to go in the cave, they'd charge, I think, $1 at that time, and the train ride was 35 cents. But all the other crafts and whatnot was just to give people something to do while they waited to go on a tour. Well, he come across this in 1966, Pete Hershey did. That's one of the founders of Silver Dollar City. All we had to tell him right then was $750. We weren't a rich park at that point in time. And he went to his mother and told him he found this steam tractor. He'd like to bring it on to give him something else for people to watch. She said, well, this is all we got. See if you can get it. Well, it was worth a lot more than $750 even in 1966. He went down there to talk to Mr. Pringle, the owner of it. Mr. Pringle said, well, I've seen what you boys are doing up over that cave. I kind of like to keep the heritage, and I'll make a deal with you. I'll sell you all that for $750 on one condition. That myself, my family, and all our relatives can come into your park for free. And Mr. Hershey laughed at him and said, but we don't charge you to come on there. And he said, oh, but one day you will. So that's how we acquired the tractor. We don't use wood no more. We have it coming in with propane. The water's hooked in there too. There was a bad explosion up in Iowa back in the early 90s. A fellow let his water run dry. They were doing a steam parade. Instead of pulling it over, throwing the sand on the fire and putting it out, he ran up to the house and grabbed the water hose and stuck down there. Folks, that's not the thing to do. It killed him, killed the engineer, and 4 innocent bystanders. But that's when we had to go to propane water and self-piping. Our insurance insisted on it. But this is one of the implements that go on it. Mainly it was just a portable power plant, by the way. A buzzsaw, y'all may have seen buzzsaws on. Mainly up in Kansas, you see these use thrashers a lot. That wheat. I can't imagine hand thrashing compared to doing it with this. Just like Mark cutting those railroad ties that way compared to buzzsaw on here. But that's what it is, folks. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I do have some of our tailings over here. This stuff people use it for their cat beds and dog beds and whatnot. If you'd like some, we got bags of it over here for $3. If you want what we call a fish pallet. That's this aromatic cedar, flat plank, soak it in water overnight. Put your salmon on it or trout on it, cook it in the bake in the oven, it gets the essence of the fish and the wood in the fish. But anyway,
wood in this area?
Yes, this is all local grown. This is what we call aromatic cedar. Another name for this is juniper wood. But this isn't red cedar like what you see most of your shake shingle filled out of. That's that big monster western red cedar. Our cedar don't grow that big. But this would not be a farm implement type of a saw. This would be something you find in a sawmill. They would take the tailings of the wood and cut shingles off of it. Around here, they did it by hand if they made shingles. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We're going to do another one at 12:45, guys. Thank you all.